again this beautiful fall day in Southwest Colorado. It's still golden outside. The Central Mountains in Colorado got some snow. I have an artist friend up in Steamboat, and her Instagram was, she's a printmaker, Jill Bergman. If you want to go check her out, I'll link her stuff in the description box. She just makes phenomenal print, where she I don't know if she uses wood or what material she uses, but hand cut out print block printing. And I will link her website and her Instagram because she's a cool artist to follow in Colorado. But they got snow in Steamboat. They got snow in Steamboat. Central North Mountains got snow. We have snow on the La Platas, which is we're the South San Juans, we're the lower Rocky Mountains in Colorado, and there's snow on the mountaintops, but it hasn't gotten down to us. It's still just gorgeous, golden. The rabbit bush and the oak brush. Everything's just kind of turning. And I think if you follow me on Instagram, I've been oohing and ahhing that we finally changed out our wood stove. We had an old wood stove that my husband's family had for years before we built our log cabin. So we got that stove, and it was like the metal deteriorates with use basically after 30 years. So the chimney sweep came in, and he was just like, this isn't good anymore. So we switched out it to a new one that has the blower and a window with a fire. And I think I'll put a little, I think my intro might today be me stitching with the stove, because it's exciting. But tomorrow, this is October 13th, and tomorrow is the equinox. Not the equinox. Oh my goodness, too many E words for me. The eclipse, the lunar eclipse. And if you've been following the news, the totalitarian, or I forget the phrase. We are in the strip that is total, like right over where it's going to be at the height. Mesa Verde is going to be over the height. So they're expecting, like, I think they said like 6,000 people to try and drive up to top of Mesa Verde, which I kind of just want to go do people watching, because I think there's going to be some interesting people. But yeah, so the lunar eclipse is coming tomorrow, and it is going to also be over other areas of the Southwest into New Mexico. And so I have a lot to share about it, but I should probably maybe wait until next week, because then I'll have pictures, and then we can really talk about how the lunar eclipse was. But yeah, but that's happening tomorrow. Actually, I just remembered, I actually have an art acquisition that I already got related to it that I'll have to share next week. Totally forgot about that. I need to get that up and framed. But I have another art acquisition that I want to show you at the end of this video. I've totally gone off my notes already, so let me look down. Oh, my name. I also totally forgot to even say my name last time I was editing and had to put in. By the way, my name is Julia. So my name is Julia Kelly. I am a fabric collage artist. I'm an art educator. I am a stitcher, and now I am a new designer of counted cross stitch off of my previous applique artwork at this point. And I think I shared in my first video that I counted up, I have like 20 plus designs that would be very easy to switch over to counted cross stitch. The problem is I'm already, as I'm working, thinking of other things that I have not drawn down anywhere that I think would be would work very, very well. So we'll see, but I literally have designs planned out through summer, I think. Yeah, I'm like I'm in the execution phase of designs through summer. So, so I am now a designer. I think well, I don't know. Can I say that? I literally, what I have is 3 designs up on my Etsy shop as PDFs. That's all. That's what I got right now. So just real quick to remind you, and I'm going to put a picture of the pattern so you can see what the pattern looks like. But what I have so far is my fall Fox in the Box that fits into a wooden cheese box, a 2-pound wooden cheese boxes. Vintage wooden cheese boxes also came in a 5-pound, and I have some designs that will fit in that. Obviously, you could do this as a pillow. It actually works really well as a drum. I kind of played around with it before I framed it as a drum, and it repeats itself, so it looks like the fox is just in a continuous circle of trees. This will be a seasonal design. I will have a winter, and if you have perused my website, you might have seen my applique that started this whole idea is the winter Fox in the Box. So it will be a winter cross stitch. But they all would work really well as a drum. In fact, I want to do them as a drum at some point because you have nature, trees, or whatever as a continuous thing all the way around. So, and he will always be DMC on just a standard Zweigart Ada, very simplistic. I wanted not to go crazy with one thing, at least one thing. So if you're like me living in the middle of nowhere and you're limited in what you can get, you could obviously you could stitch him with overdyes and stuff if you have the access to them. But so that is my pattern number 1, and I'm going to put the pictures of the covers of the patterns up here so you can see. But that's my first design, Fox in the Box, fall Fox in the Box. My second design was black cat in a pumpkin patch with a variation included chart. There's 2 charts that is 2.5 inches across, and it fits in a cookie cutter. And I'll have quite a few things that are just not that you have to finish them in a cookie cutter, biscuit cutter, but if you want to, they are for 18 count. If you do it on 18 count, it'll work. 18 count or a overdyed, slightly shrunken 16 count or equivalent in linen will work. So that's my black cat and pumpkin, or black cat in a pumpkin patch. And I utilized a lot of overdyed. The fabric, the Ada is cornflower. The black cat is Roxy Flosco Onyx, I want to say. The darker tomato color, the darker pumpkin color is classic. Is it Classic Colorworks Tomato? This will be right here. All the ones I've used, I'm going to put up here so that I stop butchering where things came from. And I know this green is Classic Colorworks Bean Sprout because it is my ultimate favorite green. I need to not use it. I need to tell myself I need to highlight other colors and not use it. So but my work is heavily use of fractional stitches. 3/4 and half stitches are all through here. It's how I get curves on larger hold, not so small. And I kind of went into why I like fractional stitches in the floss tube number 1. So look at that, but I won't go on my rant again. But your fractional stitches is your purl stitch to your knit stitch. So, yes, you can do interesting things with just knit stitch, but you are somewhat limited. The second you learn how to do a purl stitch, then the variations you can do become much greater. And then if you also throw in, a knit 2 together or a slip 1, none of them are complicated. You just have to take the time to learn each one of them, and then build up. And then, you know, it's amazing what you can do. This lace pattern is all 3/4 stitch. And that's how I got, you know, that kind of effect. I stuff my pillows, I'm trying to say. I stuff my pillows with wool roving. I like all natural. If I can do it, I try. And I did put in a little bit of crushed walnut shells, or lizard litter. I don't do the slit because I want to highlight my gorgeous fabric that I search high and low for and stockpile. So I do a invisible stitch right now up on my Etsy store. I will put the Etsy name down here and it'll be in the link. It is MF Studio. So like my business is Moonflower Studio. So my Etsy store is MF Studio Stitch, STITCH Stitch, MF Studio Stitch. So that is up there as a PDF. And then I have, I will be getting up, I should say, that's on my list for today. I wanted to, by the time you see this, let's just put it that way. I have my third design, which is my primitive horse. And I have two variations of that in the pattern, both a paint or an Appaloosa. And obviously you could, if you just wanted a solid color horse, you just would not do that. And you would have a solid colored horse. This is stitched on 18 count again. And this is finished in a vintage horse cookie cutter. And I have a finished video that I need to get up again for this weekend. It's on the list to get up for that. And then this is stitched. I have this pattern where you can have the grass, and I want to say that's probably bean sprout again, but I will put up the colors right here. And then this is another variation, a more simple variation on that 3/4 lace border. I do remember that is Roxy Floss Co. Creamsicle. Again, stuffed with wool roving, and then walnut shells in the bottom for a little weight. I tell you, these are just so tactile. But this one is finished. Actually, a reason why I don't like to do the slit and do the square and do a invisible stitch, which I either have taped or I will be taping and putting it up on my playlist on my channel, because it's so easy to do, is because this is actually sari fabric from India. Taos, I think I went on about this in my last video. You've seen this before if you've watched the last video. But yeah, but that's sari fabric that I get in a little shop in Taos, New Mexico, when I go there. So obviously I don't want to put something over the top of it. So nothing wrong with doing it the other way. I just love these fabrics, you know, and a little goes a long way. So I want, when I can really highlight it, I want to highlight it. So that is my primitive horse. And that will be up in my Etsy shop by the time you see this. That will be up in my Etsy shop. Interesting thing, to jump ahead, I should check my notes and make sure that I am not jumping ahead. So I talked about, so this is a problem with being an artist and an art educator and then designing, is I've shown you these 3 patterns, 4 if when this one gets up, and you're probably saying, you're looking at my, what I include in the pattern, what I stitch this on. Like I try and include everything that I use this time. Obviously, I've already done 2 variations for you in the pattern. Obviously, you could change this horse to whatever brown, tan, fits your fancy, that is just a gorgeous thread. And that's what I want you to do. I just want you to like, find or zoom in on this beautiful, hand dyed, or DMC has gorgeous colors. There's nothing wrong with DMC. I mean, it has some beautiful shades of different colors. And I want you to do your own thing. And I am not at this point going to include, if I stitch something in overdyed, which this pattern is completely in overdyed. I didn't use any DMC. Maybe I used like black 310, but very, very few DMCs. I right now am choosing to not include a conversion chart for multiple reasons, mostly because of my own hangups. Just I'll nothing against other people including DMC charts, and certainly nothing against like a local needlework shop or an online store picking a conversion for you. Totally fine. Like that's cool. My problem is it's me. I have, like I said, I have an art degree. I have a 4-year bachelor's degree in art education and teaching. I can still vividly remember the main instructor was a lady professor. I had like 3 or 4 guy professors and then one lady professor. And believe me, she's the one who ran the show. Her just going on and on about, don't even give kids coloring books. As an art teacher, don't even give kids a coloring books. Don't give them pre-made anything. You give them raw material, blank paper and crayons and, cardboard and paintbrushes, and you just let them do their own thing. And if they make a horse and it's purple, you say, fantastic, that's the most gorgeous horse I've ever seen, it's purple. If they, put faces in the sky. I dealt with this a lot with, when I was working with special needs kids, with like Oriental Trading Company. We use those a lot in our Vacation Bible School, the foam, all those foam ornaments that you would get all the pieces and parts, and then you would glue it together, and it would, be baby Jesus in the manger or some kind of an ornament or something. And I worked with, I wasn't a certified teacher in, the special ed department. I was what they call a para. So I just had my kid and then I did art with the group, just as directed by the special ed teacher. I didn't run the show at all, but they, art is a great thing to do. So I would work with the kids with art, and these kiddos that, highly autistic, would smack their googly eyes, in the tree or in the clouds or on the table or on themselves. And their paras, because exceptionally ed kids are 1-to-1. So you had one para with one student, would pull them off. And, oh, no, that has to go on the face. Oh, no, that has to go on the face. Or, oh, no, that's the tail for the horse. And I would just be like, it doesn't matter. Let them stick them wherever they want to stick them. It doesn't, you don't have to create this gorgeous, perfect, ornament. Let them experience the art and so, I mean, that's my training and my background. So I cannot give you a conversion chart. I can't do it. I can't do it. Not to say that they're bad or, hey, someone else can do it, fine, but I can't do it. Like, even when you'll see, I just say model stitched with, just if you're wondering what is this brown because I like it, well, that's what it is. Or what is this green because I like it, that's what it is. Or, I really like that fabric, what is it? That's all I can do. And it is totally my background. So yeah, so at this point, I will not be, if I use overdyed, I won't be including a DMC conversion chart. I mean, convert away. Please convert away. If you just don't want to figure it out, hand it to somebody else. These cross stitch shops have phenomenal women who are very good at it. Oh, so good at it. And they're good at it whichever way you go. Like, say you want to do this, but you want to do it in silks. There's ladies out there who can tell you, yep, that'll be do, and they'll give you exactly what you want in silk. Or however it works, or, change the back. But I can't do it. I can't tell you what color to use. I will also say that my patterns generally, because I'm coming from collage, I haven't had the privilege. I'm not a painter. So my color palette is very limited. You'll notice that I rarely have, I'm trying to think probably this has the most colors, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors. This literally has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if you can include the hoof. So it's not critical on color choices. And then the other reason I'm not putting a lot of energy and effort into a conversion is the variation of your fabric to your fabric is so huge. And I think not the norm, I wouldn't say the norm, but picking, having to kind of go out, well, the phrase around here would be off the reservation. I don't know how politically correct, but what that literally means is you go off and do your own thing, go off the reservation, go do your own, just go do your own thing. Don't follow the norm, is that you have to kind of work a little bit to figure out how all these things fit together. Because even if you went and got cornflower again, or you got cornflower on linen, there's nothing to say that these colors would work 100%. I mean, I was showing, what was it? Autumn Spice in a sound. I forget if you've seen it or will see it, but I had 2 of them, and there was enough variation in Autumn Spice. I thought they were 2 different things for a while. So yeah, so I think the need to kind of finesse and figure it out yourself is pretty high. So all those things added up. My ingrained art teacher, don't tell them what colors to use, and the need to kind of like finesse it and adjust. I'm not including DMC conversions. So enough about that. So so that is the problem. I'm looking at my notes with being an art teacher and an art educator also. So we talked about that. Like I said, I was trained to not even give a kid a coloring sheet. And I mean, and that was an era, that was a pre-era to really understanding how what's called process art, like not looking for a glorious thing at the end, but just the enjoyment and the joy of doing it. There's great value. That was pre-understanding that. So now I get it. Like, I mean, I get adult coloring books. I personally don't use them because I'll just draw, but I do draw my own line drawing. Like, I'll sketch something, and then I thoroughly enjoy sitting down on a weekend on the couch, watching a movie, and using my markers and just, coloring it in. Like it was like it's a coloring page. So no, I get it. Like I substituted taught in the main classroom, and then I also certain years was a assistant teacher that would take on parts of the day. So I had a very hypocritical split opinion. I would, in art class, never offer coloring sheets. I only offered blank pieces of paper, and then, like I said, markers, crayons, watercolors, whatever, to do their own thing. 3 hours later, I might be in the classroom working and assisting the teacher, and I would find coloring pages and give them to the kids. On the subject, whatever we were talking about. Sometimes, there would be coloring involved. Yeah, so totally hypocritical. So So I'm not going to include DMC conversions. Uh, Hugely because I just don't have that many colors. Like I said, this is coming. I'm not a painter. I'm not an oil painter. I'm not a painter. Speaking of that, and I will include this. There was a retreat. I want to say it was a Silver City. Oh, I'm gonna really mess this up. And Nora, there's an author that's a Nora, and there's a cross stitch designer that's a Nora. And I said the word, and I can't. It'll come to me. She does the beautiful, very detailed, full coverage fairies or women, like a fantasy, different, like a fantasy setting with some, lady with a gown, or headdress or long, Nora Roberts is the author. That's not it. Nora, oh gosh, I'll put it here. I also, in my previous video, talked about dyslexia, and I shouldn't even try. It'll come to me if I stop trying. But she is a painter. She, that was her training as an as an artist in school. She's coming out of the painting. There is a question and answer video that someone filmed at this retreat that is so interesting. She really goes into her process. It involves a transparent piece of graph paper that she can reuse, and she kind of draws out things, and then she can, on the back side, pick the colors. But she has this painter brain, and so I don't know how many colors she usually has in her patterns, but I bet there's more than like 7. Because she's blending and, and like confetti stitching, where you just minutely are just filling in those squares. Again, totally could get into it in another life. But I'm coming from a collage artist background where I have blocks of color, not even a pattern per se, but I'm cutting out like if this is a collage, I would cut out that white completely. I would cut out this black mane completely. I would cut out the brown completely. And I would find a fabric that had some interesting texture, on it as the fabric. I wouldn't come in and be like, oh, I got to get some black in here. And, oh, I love this variation. So for me, utilizing these overdyed and kind of assuming that there's some interest, like this green, like, if that was just DMC, that would be kind of boring. So that's why when I did this DMC, I included swirls to give texture to the grass. Where in this DMC, I'm using the overdye to give me that really interesting effect. I got a phone call from my daughter, so I paused and went outside, sat on the deck, and chatted with her for a bit. God, it's just so beautiful out. It's just, oh my gosh, the weather. And I'm wearing I told you in my other floss tube how I had heard about flannels that have pockets, and I think I was wearing the gray, slightly green one last time, and this is the red one. So yay. But so went outside on the deck and chatted with my daughter, who has, as she says, everyone in her office is either getting married or having babies. And I remember that era. I worked at a preschool, and I think like, oh my gosh, 4 teachers in the 3 years I worked at this preschool got married, and one was about to have a baby when I left, and I got married in the middle of it. That's how it goes. But so yeah, I think I was talking about Nora, who is a designer and does the full coverage fairies, and how she was a painter. And there's a great Q&A linked that I will link, a retreat, Silver City. There's actually been some really cool retreats. There was also the primitive one up in New York with, they had gorgeous Amish baskets. I used to be a basket weaver many, many years ago. You can see some of my baskets on that top shelf. I'll talk about that sometime. But they had a really, really fun looking retreat up in New York. Primitive Gatherings, I want to say. I will link the description of the host, one of the host people who put it on, her video. I'll link it. That was really fun to watch this week. And then there was one other one that I always thought was really interesting, a design. I think it was a blue flower. I was going to say cornflower, blue flower, but it wasn't her video. It was just someone who was showing some things they were working on. And it was the coolest design, and I will put that in the link to the pattern, the chart of this. Again, it's like this, where it could be a drum, really long. And it was of a farm scene with a cute little barn and then a llama. And then and the way blue flower did the rolling hills. It was just a gorgeous pattern. It was a beautiful pattern that I don't know how old it is or anything, but I will try and track it down and put a link to it, because I was pretty impressed. I thought that was a nice pattern. But so looking at my notes, I also this week, or actually yesterday, got up my, as I said, that these have a huge amount of fractional stitches. That's why I can get this curve, or I can get this curve, or this curve without a huge amount of stitches, because I'm using fractional stitches. You'd have to go a larger piece with smaller X's to make it feel like it wasn't jaggedy or pixelated. So that's why I love a fractional stitch. And like I said, it's like a knit to a purl. They're not that hard. But I did a little jack-o'-lantern pattern freebie that is up on my website, moonflowerstudio.biz, not my Etsy store, on my website. If you go to the cross stitch pattern page, it'll be there, and I will put up an image right here of it. But yesterday I got uploaded my video on how to stitch fractional stitches and explaining to you what a fractional stitch is. And that's up right now. So I will after this, I'm gonna get on my social media and kind of get the word out about that the pattern for my jack-o'-lantern pumpkin and the freebie chart is done and up. But yeah, see, look at those nice curves. And then you can also get the jaggedy grass. The grass is jaggedy. And again, here's another variation on that lace fractional stitch border. And I stitched this till 1 o'clock in the morning. I really was just in an obsessed mood. And then I got up really like early in the morning and kind of a little groggy. That's the back side of my fabric. But you know what? I use back sides a lot in my collage. So it's not, I mean, it's an interesting look. But yeah, that's the back side. Hand stitched, blanket stitch. I really was not awake when I did this. But okay, so that's my my freebie that gosh. And then let's see, what else do I have on my list here? So then what I'm working on right now is, if you follow me on Instagram and you've seen my stories, this is no surprise. I am working on a turkey that will fit. This is my applique turkey. that I showed. You know, this is all what I was talking about versus, you know, I'm not a painter, I'm a collage artist. So I just find interesting fabrics that have interesting texture on them. And so I want to recreate the same feel when I'm doing, making these designs for cross stitch. And I'm discovering how wonderful it is to use these hand-dyed, over-dyed threads, because you do get, you know, like in the grass, you do get really interesting variations. And so I'm really hoping to have this pattern up on a week from today, no later than a week from today. If I actually get the pattern done sooner, I'm going to really push through the weekend with it. So hopefully the pattern for this that I'm working on will be up before Friday. And then after that, then I have a big release for Christmas that I need to get up. So, so this is what I'm recreating as for a turkey, just like I recreated it for my horse. This will be, you know, this same idea. And in doing that, I'm stitching, I discovered something interesting. Let's just put it this way. I have this fabric that I got. This one's actually, I have two turkeys. Just like I had to stitch this twice for the horses, because I'm going to do one that's a cookie cutter, and then I want to do one that's a pillow. I want to say this is Dune, Fiber on a Whim, maybe. This is 18 count. This is 16 count. And you can see I did not include my blue yet because the blue is exciting, and I thought if I don't get everything else stitched before I include the blue, it'll be hard to go back to the brown. So the reason I'm showing you this is, well, two things. That, like I said, this is 18 count. This is 16 count. Preference, this comes down to personal preference. If you look at this, I stitched 2 strands on Ada 18. This is 18 count Ada. See how there's the little pin pricks of white stick kind of just, you know, in various spots all around. That is what I'm going for. I like full coverage where there's just the tiniest little hint of seeing through to the fabric. I don't like it to look like there's a whole bunch of pinholes or light coming through. Just enough, just a spattering so that you get that primitive look, but it's not like, it's not huge. And I do think that's a critical thing for most stitchers, is you kind of, it's your aesthetic. It's your, the technical word would be milieu, if you really want to get all artsy fartsy. It's what you find pleasing to the eye. And for me, this is the right amount. On the 16 count, you know, you have that same thing. You just have places where on just occasion, you'll just get a little, like a little shot of white, you know, like on the edge of the feather. This is perfect for me. And what I was discovering was I didn't like just take DMC. I would stitch something on 16, I would stitch something on 16 count DMC. And then I would use the same thread and I would stitch it on 18 count. And for me, 16 to 18 was that spot where 2 strands, you know, like something I liked on 16 count, I didn't like it on 18 count. It was too thick. It was too, it was like, you know, there wasn't any little pin pricks of white, of light coming through. You know, it was too crammed in to the square, and people will talk about that. So, you know, I wasn't quite sure what to do about it. I tried stitching with one strand, and that was too much. There was too many open little, you know, pinholes, you know, that was too much. So that didn't work. Then I also tried, you know, like I researched and listened to other people and found out that certain brands of different things were claimed that they were kind of equivalent to like 1.5 of the diameter of a strand of DMC floss. So they were just slightly bigger. So then I thought, oh, okay, well, that'll work because, you know, it'll just be slightly bigger. So it'll just cover slightly more. The problem with those options is that they are round. They're not flat, like a 6-strand floss like DMC or Cosmo or any of your Overdyed are flat. They're not rounded. If you go into silks or it's not, what brand is it? It starts with an S. It's really popular. A lot of quilters, like, you know, like they have different gauges of how thick it is. Well, I went in and bought a version of that to try, well, maybe, you know, like it's supposed to be, and the roundiness on my X right away, I was like, I don't want to stack 2 rounded threads on top of each other. I think if you only did a half stitch, I can understand that, but for me, I was like, that's not it. So I really just I wasn't finding, like, I just accepted that my 18 counts felt and looked a little too stuffed together. Like I just wasn't getting that kind of pin prick. At the same time I was battling with this, I was also exploring overdyed threads. And your general kind of like options, the main ones. I mean, I know there's a lot, but kind of like most stores that I've walked into, these are kind of the options, are Classic Colorworks. Let's see what else I got in here. Some of these I've wrapped, some I haven't. NeedleArts. And the other main one that I've dealt with is Roxy Floss Co. And then the fourth one is DMC. No, I'm sorry. The fourth one is Weeks Dye Works. They vary in how many yards you get when you purchase. And they vary, what I discovered is they vary on what their base thread floss is that then they use to overdye. And they vary on how they overdye, what they do, how they condition after they overdye, how they treat that thread. So just like, you know, you've heard overdyed fabric, you might have a 16 count, but when you do that gauge and you count, it's more like a 17 count, 18 count because of how it was dyed in the dye process of hot water. It shrunk, especially cotton, because of the nature of cotton. Well, this is cotton too. So the nature of how it's dyed is going to affect the minuscule diameter of the actual threads. I've not talked to any of these dyers. I'm guessing just on my experience with dyeing. Like that's just what and I don't have that huge of an experience of dyeing. To me, as I keep dropping them, it feels like DMC, and a lot of these start with a DMC base, I think. NeedleArts, Roxy Floss Co., and Classic Colorworks. I have not even seen or bought the other thread that starts with a C. Color and Cotton. They must have a different contract. I don't know. They're just usually not. I've been, in my great span of experience, I have been in Welcome Stitchery, and I have been in Blue Earth, Minnesota, and I have been in Colorado Stitcher, in Fort Collins, Loveland, up in northern Colorado. They have not carried the classic color, the color and cotton. So I have no knowledge of color and cotton. But I would put DMC in with these three as interchangeable, that how thick the thread is, how soft the thread is, how fuzzy the thread is, they're compatible with each other. Weeks, I think, is in its own category. If you look at a 6-strand weeks, it's thinner. It's not just thinner, it's also not as fuzzy, I would want to say. Not knocking it. But what I've noticed is that I don't like mixing these together. And I kind of figured that out a while ago, that like I either want to use weeks or then I can mix around with all of these. Which is fine. I'm not knocking it. I mean, sometimes, Weeks has gorgeous colors. All these have gorgeous colors. You can intermix these. I prefer not to mix Weeks in with these. But the exciting thing that I've discovered, making this turkey, is when I went up to the Loveland Fort Collins area and went into Colorado Stitcher. Gosh, I tell you, I mix up words and I can't remember. I had projects that I was thinking of doing. One was this turkey, and one was the other primitive horses. So I just decided to pull Weeks only for the turkey. Just only use Weeks, just try and do something gorgeous and wonderful with Weeks. So I was always planning to do just the turkey on the 18 count. But what was an extra aha surprise is that it solved how tight my 2-strand overdye thread is. That it's not as fat. It doesn't take up as fat. That's like the word I guess I'm thinking of. It worked. So now what I realize is that, like I said, everybody has that magic count that when they're using their thread, they start going, oh, maybe I need to go to 2 strands. Oh, I may need to go to 1 strand. There's this jump. There's like a magic count. Well, mine apparently is 16 to 18. And if I'm on 18, I now think I want to use Weeks solely. To the point that I 1, 2, 3 stitch can probably make a mortgage payment off of what I bought. I just sat down and I have projects for winter that I want to do. And this new revelation, I am probably going to build up my only Weeks storage only. Separate my Weeks from my other ones, so that when I do 18 count, I have choices. And I bought a heck of a lot of Weeks. I didn't have a good color for his feet and his beak. Apparently I forgot about that when I was picking colors. I have the most gorgeous color, because I don't know if you've looked at turkeys very closely, but they have, I don't know where it is in here. I'll have to show you. I'll show you next time. They have blue in their head and then blue in their stuff. So this is going to get fun to start putting the blue in. So tell me I'm crazy, or look at it yourself. Like, really pay attention to the thinness. It's like it's thinner than the other brands, which for me is perfect, because that means, and I even have a couple ornaments that I'm just like, oh gosh, I don't even know if I can do them on 18 count. I might have to jump up to 20 count because of the detail. It won't be this year, it'll be next year. I have some Christmas ornaments that I'm like, I really want to redo those, but I don't think 18's enough. I think I need to jump up to 20 count. But I think Weeks will pull it off, because it's not fuzzy. It's, like how when you're knitting with yarn, there's certain yarns that are just, like the micro If you we're looking through a microscope, you see fuzz. Like, they're not fuzzy. So they're not filling up as much space as the other ones. So yeah, so kudos to I mean, not kudos to Weeks, because the other flosses are gorgeous too. But just that for me, that was that line between wanting to use Roxy Floss Co., Color and Cotton, DMC, NeedleArts, and then up to 18 not liking how packed in. So an example is my horse cookie cutter. Oh, I'm getting it must be noon alarm. This is done with Color and Cotton. No, see, I'm already mixing up the C words. Classic Color Works. This is their Autumn Spice, and then this is the Almost Auburn, and then this is Toasted Marshmallow. Is that Classic Color Works or NeedleArts? This is too thick. This is too tapestry look to me. It doesn't have enough. There's not those pinholes of space. Where if you look at this, you see those on occasion pinholes of space, and you guys might be thinking you're absolutely nutso, but you know, for me, that's the difference. This is too packed in together. This is perfect. So this is slightly bigger diameter thread. This is thinner Weeks. Weeks also has only, I forget, 5 yards. They have 5 yards on this, so you need to order more of them. Where I want to say Classic Color Works has 5 yards, and Roxy Floss Co. Does it say? Roxy Floss Co. is more like DMC. I think DMC and Roxy have 8 yards. So pay attention to that. So this is another thing where I'm like, is it really, are we at an era right now where it serves any purpose to include detail on the pattern other than just what I've stitched it with? Because all these are different. So there's something. So yeah, I this afternoon will probably be editing this video, but when I'm done with my computer work, I'm going to keep up on my turkeys. This one, the 16 count, I'm not sure. Like, I might finish it off like this. Just like I talked about, the classic primitive look of a side view of just an animal from what I said is called vanity art. You know, in the era before internet, you had a itinerant artist come just paint your glorious stud horse or sheep or goat or pig or whatever. And I love that look. And I kind of want to just have this collection of all these very primitive side view of animals, very flat, primitive side view. So that's what this was designed to do, but it's kind of screaming to get some squash around it. I haven't decided yet. I finally told myself I'm just going to stitch the turkey, and then once he's stitched, I'll start seeing what I think I want, if I want to add something. But he'll finish similarly to the horse. I'm going to have a whole series of primitive animals that, again, are just this flat, primitive style. So yeah, but I can't wait to, you know, but I'm amazed of actually how much it has been enjoyable to stitch all these browns. I love this combo. It took a couple tries of the gray and the bluish black. Both of those are Roxy Floss Co. What are they? They are, nope, that's, I gotta, oh, they are, this is one of her old labels. Oh, Chalkboard is a dark black gray. And Where, oh, and then this is, what is this? Obsidian. And that has a lot of purple in it. So that combo for the feathers. Because like I said, that I'm really trying hard to pull out the blues. Because you'll see when I get the blue head how cool the blues will start to come out. So I'm like doing the underneath, not so fun, exciting part. But it's fun. It's enjoyable because I'm stitching. So yeah, so I'm working on the turkeys. Oh my gosh. As soon as they're done, which, fingers crossed, let me think here. This is Friday. My goal is I want to release on Saturdays. I want my weekly floss, weekly Artist Tube floss tube to come out on Saturday morning, so that you have the entire weekend to just watch it at your leisure, enjoy it, when you have those 2 days. So I want to get this out. Then my stitching time over the weekend will be the turkeys. I am waiting for this 1, 2, 3 stitch order to come in, because it has the hope, fingers crossed, well, surely with the amount of floss I ordered, surely it'll have the right yellows for the feet and the beak for the week's 18 count one. So I'll be able to finish that off as a cookie cutter. I also need to get out my how to finish a cookie cutter video that I did. The problem with that is I actually, there's no planning. My how to finish a cookie cutter video, which I've done months ago, is my Christmas ornament. So I'm really waiting to do the how to finish it in a cookie cutter until I release my Christmas designs, because I really don't want to film and make another how to finish a cookie cutter that'll take me the same amount of time that it'll take me to just release my Christmas designs. So my hope is that once I've released my Christmas designs, I have a whole bunch of videos of how to finish videos that I will release. So if you're interested in that, stitch away and find your cookie cutter, And again, all these cookie cutters, the turkey, the horse, the rabbit, the cookie cutters that are rare, like those are all my cookie cutters up there. The ones that I don't think are easy to find, I'm not making a design for you to stitch to put in them. I'm actually going on Etsy, really searching to verify, okay, it's pretty easy to buy one of these cookie cutters off Etsy, or the ones that I know I walk into antique malls. Every time I walk into an antique mall, I find one. They're the ones that I am making designs for. Hopefully, I will get enough ahead of myself to get back into doing my fabric collage originals that I will then be selling as my own artwork that I'm selling. That's a distant horizon right now. So, so plans, get this video out, get the turkeys done, get that pattern released, get the horse and the turkey up in my Etsy shop before, the horse one before you see this video, the turkey one before I release my next floss tube, artist tube video. So once that's all done, drum roll, the next week I am headed to a wedding in Mexico, which I mean, look at me. I can think of a lot of places I'd rather go than Mexico. But my nieces chose Mexico to get married, so I'm going. I know it's a hardship for me to have to go to Mexico and sit on a beach for 3 days. But my hope is, before I leave for Mexico, which will be about the 24th, 25th, in 2 weeks, I will have released my Christmas designs and release a video about my Christmas designs. Kind of like clear the slate, clear the table. All of my designs are out that should have been out weeks ago if I was a good designer, which I'm all over the place designer right now. So my hope is that before I head for Mexico, all these videos I've been working on are up on my channel. All the how to finish videos are up on my channel. And all of my patterns are up on my Etsy shop through Christmas. Then in Mexico, I will be sitting with my little stash of after Christmas designs that I want to release. And I don't know why, I've always been intrigued with Boxing Day. They do it in Britain, in England and Europe, where this is the theory. In America, what do? We go rush out the day after we've been given gifts to go buy more crap, kind of. Boxing Day, traditionally in England, is where you box up things you don't need or want anymore for charity and give them to charity, and then you do something non-commercial on Boxing Day. My family always has done a big hike on Boxing Day, and I stay home by myself. I said, bye-bye. I send my family off to go cross-country ski or hike or get into the desert, which isn't that far of a drive the other direction, and with the dogs. And then I have a quiet house, and I sit down and watch old movies and work on my art, my collaging, stitching, and then have some leftover, thing when they get home. But I'm hoping, this is my hope, that my Christmas designs will be released right before I go to Mexico, like the 25th of October. Then my Boxing Day after Christmas, just for fun winter designs, which I have 2, 3-ish, will be released on Boxing Day. That's the goal. So I need to and I've started getting the flosses and the designs. Again, these are things that I have already made as applique. So I'm not starting from scratch. But I have a lot of that stuff to get done because I want to take some of that down to Mexico with me so I can be working on the beach. So you might be seeing some hints of what I'm working on, sitting at a beach, hopefully with my hope is a sangria in my hand and an umbrella. So those are my plans. Then before I go, so tomorrow's the eclipse over Mesa Verde, literally over my house. So I went up to Wyoming for that eclipse, which was about 4 or 5 years ago with my family, got up and that was total eclipse over the Yellowstone mountains, where on the backside of that is where some of my family lives. And that was interesting. So I think we're going to drive. We were debating, there's some trailheads that we're thinking maybe people don't know about if they're not from the area. We'll see how it goes. But I will probably have a tale to tell next time with photos about how the eclipse went. But before I go, I wanted to share my finished artwork that last week I think I was talking about. It was my birthday weekend the week before, and my husband came in as a treat for my birthday with a wooden puzzle, and it was a steampunk style Zephyr balloon, kind of like a balloon, and I finished it. So I wanted to show you. This is a puzzle that I put together. The dining room table was entirely covered for 2 weeks. And many times it took everything I had when it wasn't working and things were breaking and I had to glue things back together, not to just squeeze hard and make the whole thing shatter and push it into the trash can. And then when my husband got home, said, yeah, I'm sorry, the dog got at it. But I persevered and I got it done. And it has a special place of honor up on a safe shelf with some other artwork and family heirlooms. I finished it yesterday. And if you're interested, if you have an engineer in the family, someone on the autistic spectrum, or, you know, someone like me, engineers, meticulous people, mathematicians, someone who's into Lego. Don't give this to a child. don't give this to a child, and don't give this to an impatient person. If they don't have patience, I finally kicked my husband away because he's not patient. But this is the company. Does it say Hands Craft USA Inc. There's the back. Hands Craft USA Inc. Classic 3D wooden puzzle. And this doesn't even say, like, the instructions are inside. So what this has is that they literally included some extra pieces because they probably know that you're going to break things, and the instructions. So I have a drawer of this kind of stuff I'm going to put this in case something happens. But yeah, but this is a no touchy. Like, my children, when they come home for Christmas, are not going to, I'm the only person who's allowed to touch this thing. Because I don't want to blame anyone else for this shattering into a million pieces. And I cheated. There's a lot of glue on here, which I think in theory you're not supposed to have to use glue. But I used a lot of glue. At first I thought I'd hang it, but honestly I don't think it can. I don't think the weight of it can handle hanging. So I'm going to put it up on a high shelf in a place of pride. And of course he was just like, oh, there's something that you like. And so I'm a little worried. This is fun on occasion for me, but this cannot turn into my birthday, because if it does, yeah. But he was already talking about getting another one for Christmas, which I might let other people deal with. My son-in-law, my new son-in-law, I bet could handle it. My daughter and I don't know, my two girls, I might be wrong. Like, sometimes I think, oh no, they're not going to like that. And then, I mean, I shouldn't judge, because sometimes the person you think isn't going to enjoy something like this is the person who loves it. And the person you're like, oh, they'll love this, is like, heck no. But yeah, very patient, very gentle hands, very meticulous. And then have Elmer's glue and some toothpicks also, because you will break something. So yeah, so that, I think that is it. Yeah. So have a wonderful weekend. I really, really, really hope this gets up tomorrow. I'm going to go get some lunch. It's a little bit afternoon. And get to editing this and get images up and links and start uploading this. So have a great, great weekend. And we will see you next time.